Hey, what's going on? It's Dr. Ben, your pre-chiropractic advocate, your guidance counselor, trying to just bring you really dope people that can provide you with insight because they followed this path to become chiropractors and they're really just trying to be here and help you. So today we have a chiropractic student from out at Life University in Georgia, Shae Mcleish. Thank you so much for taking some time to share your perspectives and truth with the prospective students out there that are maybe not considering chiropractic, but now we're about to put them on to what this path is really about. Can we get started by you just introducing yourself, sharing about what your life was like before you went to chiropractic school and what made you decide to become a chiropractor?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are having a remarkable new year as a starter. Um, so I am Jamaican by roots. I was born and raised in Jamaica. Jamaican, shout out to you guys. So I migrated here when I was 15 to Florida, where I finished my high school. And long story short, I got into a bad car accident. I was like partially paralyzed, where I had to learn how to walk and stuff. I was in between physical therapy and chiropractic. Eventually, through the process of learning how to walk, it was very clear that yeah, chiro is the way because I'm all for into the root of the problem and not like half-ass things. No offense to any PT or anything. It's just that there's a time and a place for everything. At the
Hmm.
time, my hip was messed up, and my car really pretty much put me back on my feet and got me moving. It was very frustrating. But yeah, so that's why I got into the chiro program to pretty much help other people understanding like having back pains and having mobility issues ain't no joke for sure.
Hmm.
So yeah.
What was your life like though growing up? Tell us about your upbringing. Was chiropractic around? Was it available to people that grew up where you grew up, or how did you hear about chiropractic? And like, where were you at when you heard about it and got into this accident? Were you studying already to go into healthcare or?
Yeah, so at the time when I got into the accident, I was a soccer player on a scholarship that same year. It's like my whole life blew up that same year, but it was like good and bad. I learned a lot and matured a lot emotionally. Um, in Jamaica, definitely, I didn't hear a lot about chiropractic, but I was like a science nerd, but a soccer player. So it's like I just knew about sports medicine. I don't know where it was going to go, but I was like somewhere in that mix, being an athlete, you know. Um, Michael Harris came to my school in undergrad, Georgia Southwestern, and I remember he gave a nice speech, very convincing, and I was like, "Yep, this is it. This is it." He came through for sure, and I'm always fortunate. And then I signed up for a tour because I was up in like Atlanta area, and I was like, "Hey, might as well get a tour. It's not gonna hurt." I went to Palmer before. So I was like, I lived in Florida already. I don't want to live back in Florida. I was like, let's
Hmm.
switch up the scenery because I like to live in different places, you know? Gonna live once, might as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed the tour. I enjoyed the vibes. I was like, okay, small campus, but everybody was friendly, which threw me off. But then moving to the south, that whole like extra friendly just threw me off as a whole. I was like, okay, I rock with it. I rock with it.
Yeah. Dope, dope. What's your student experience been like at Life? Like what was it like when you first became a student, and how has your experience evolved throughout the program? I think you're towards the end of the program right now, right?
I'm in midway in the program right now, so
Okay.
I'm in quarter seven. That's pretty much a year and a half, or 2 years, pretty much. My experience in the program. Um, what I could okay, so my experience is good, but it's like imagine going through like a spiritual awakening of yourself, and you got to get real with yourself and see who you are and where your strengths and weakness are, and like you had to accept that or build on it. But if you don't accept yourself, you will struggle a lot in this program. And first quarter was hell because it was like I was just trying to figure it out. It was just so much going on, and so much was going on in my personal life. Like if you have a good supporting team or try to build a good support, is a must. Like community is a must. Cause some days gonna be bad days. Be in class for 12 hours, ain't no joke. And then come home. Sometimes emotionally you don't have nothing to give. So I had to learn how to set boundaries. I had to learn how to take self cares, like and learn indicators when I'm about to be on the verge of burnout or how not to be on the verge of burnout. Because first quarter I burnt out bad, very bad, and I slowly caught my rhythm by fourth quarter, and I was like, couple months in, but slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then keep going. So you're in seventh. So you recover by fourth quarter. You were burnt out after first quarter.
Yeah.
What did you start to gain more energy from? How did you get your energy back up? How did you adapt?
I met I started connecting with like upper quarters, and I asked them, hey, how do you set a schedule and like trying to balance life? Like I felt like very out of place, but growth and comfort doesn't work, and I learned that very much so that quarter. That was like the perfect definition of growth and comfort don't work, but it's like though I was uncomfortable, I grew a lot, and I'm grateful for that. Looking back at it now, it's like, oh, first quarter was something, but like now it's like when you're on your rhythm in life, that you be like, it's just adversity. You gotta strive through chaos. And I connected with like people like Jamal Brewster, Legend Brown, like Born, I should say, sorry. Like those dudes, like they've been my rock and homies, or even my people in my current class that came into the program with.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely we shared like we became very vulnerable with each other and be like, hey, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm struggling at. So we pretty much became, that backbone for each other. Who's not good in this class? I got you in this class. Like I'm quick with hands-on stuff, so like technique classes be a breeze for me. But the technical science stuff is a little boring, but I get around to it.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you struggle more with the things you don't find like inspiration or energy. It doesn't give you energy.
Pretty much,
The, and the things that give you energy, where you're working with people hands on, is easy.
definitely.
Or it's
I
not
learned
easy,
that
but it's yeah. Go ahead.
I learned like you gotta learn what type of learner you are. I did not know that for years, and I'm a kinesthetic, so like hands-on and visual and audio, all that loveliness, like I need it all. So like I figured that out. Eventually, by second quarter, I was like, okay, cool. Needed to know that. So I'm happy that they teach that in like personal development. It's like a 101 personal development class you'd say.
Mhm.
Best class ever. It helped me out because I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
So can we give some of that to the students that haven't yet got to chiropractic school? Can you give them some of the things that you learned from personal development 101 that might help them if they know those things before they get to school?
Listen with belief. A lot of people just listen to respond, but listen and absorb the information, not just to absorb it for just it's class. Nah, it's deeper than that. It's building character. You might enlighten something within you that you didn't know that you have in you. You know what I'm saying? And I went to the program being open minded at all measures because I was like, it's time to grow and level up onto another level mentally, everything around me. Um, Started reading books. Definitely a lot of self care books. That class showed me a lot. Like my Dr. Harmon definitely like talked about like certain things. If you're not good at it, he tells you like, hey, if you're not good at it, find somebody that's good at it that can mentor you or educate you, or find a book if you don't feel like you have the mentor or a support system that can advise you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we're doing right here, right now. You that mentor that's gaming them to what to expect, or ways to think about how you're going to get through a really rigorous and difficult program. It's not easy. We're not here to sugarcoat it. The education in chiropractic is basically like a medical education. It's just a lot easier to get into the program. But once you're in the program, it's time to really recognize that you're in a graduate level health education. You can call medical education because the sciences are very medically oriented, and it's like you
Right.
get to learn a million different facts and be able to regurgitate them back on a test. So What has the test been like for you? Like, can you give us some insights into like what it's like to be a student and how many exams you expect to take, or just how fast they come at you?
So first quarter, you kind of start off with I think like 12 classes, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a lot for me because I was like 12 classes, like dang, I have 12 finals. Like, okay, let's figure this out, Shae. Like I had to break this down in my head. Um, I've learned a lot that definitely read the textbook. Like, yes, you understand the PowerPoint, but how the teacher constructs the word or sentence is a different thing than how the PowerPoint presents itself. And I took a L in a class. That out of the first test, I took a L. I was like, oh, okay. I had to test the waters, but I was like, hey, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely create a lot of flashcards and connect with a lot of people who have various notes, because you never know what you miss. Because sometimes your notes not won't be the perfect notes. You might miss something. Working in
Mm-hmm.
class for 12 hours, like anything can happen throughout your day. You can just time out. You might just sit there and just zoned out. And you miss the most perfect information. You'd be like, where did it come from? Like, so
Uh-huh.
definitely connect with a various type of people. Like once you learn like different type of learners, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, then connect with all. That's what I did. Because after I failed that class, I mean not the class, the test, I was like, all right, boom, we need a strategy right here, and I connected with all different type of learners. Connected with like upper quarter for their old notes, or and started to go in like tutoring, like SI sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely helps out a lot, because 10 to 1 is like somebody is that's the SI tutor is like in the program or like a quarter above you, and definitely will advise you and like, hey, look out for this because this teacher likes to focus on this type of science,
Mm-hmm.
and pay attention to, like, you can ask the teacher too. Like this class, she made us create questions, like ideal questions to what would make on the test, because we're new to the program. We didn't know like what we really signed up for, but we figured it out real soon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we were like, ooh, this is definitely an undergrad. And I transitioned from undergrad into the program. I took a year off of school because I had to finish up some prereqs. Because chemistry at my undergrad, I knew I was gonna fail. I was not gonna fool myself. So I'd rather do it off the books, on my GPA, so we can graduate by the boom, get out,
Mm.
to stay on the GPA. Like that was my strategy out. So
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
feel bad if you don't finish your physics or chemistry. It's fine. Take a year off. Take that time to reflect on your life. Take a break
Mm-hmm.
and everything. Never look down on yourself. Because at first I did look down on myself. I was like, dang, you should be in school right now, in the Cairo program, da da da. And I was like, what's meant to be will be.
How did you
And
spend that year in between undergrad and grad school? How did you spend that year living your life?
I realized like I applied to like maybe like 100 to about 200 jobs, and I didn't hear nothing back. All of these jobs I was more than qualified for because I was working under one of my mentor in Florida, Cairo office. So like a CA assistant or PT assistant, like I understood all the mechanics behind all that. And I realized I didn't hear about nothing. That's what that showed me. I was like, wow, I just graduated with a bachelor's degree, dean's list. I thought everything would be good. But then reality hits. Nothing.
Hmm.
I started applying for jobs prior to graduation, like 4 months prior to graduation. And then when graduation hit that January, I'm like, I am jobless. Great. So we need to figure this out. I felt out of place. I had no control of my life. And I think it's the pride or the independency, whichever. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I don't want to rely on my parents. We all want to have our own stability and ground, hold our own ground. But
Mm-hmm.
job market is very rigorous, definitely rigorous as ever, and it showed me it's who you know. And I felt like I wasn't gonna get a good job with my bachelor's degree, so I was like, okay, let's grind, let's make some money. I started reading more about, like, I started investing more in myself. So I was like, okay, this is a more challenging program. Who I need to be to sustain myself in this program is a question I asked myself. So I started to just read about different type of self-care books,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when like my vision, my lens, because you can only think on the level you're exposed to. So it's like I just started to view life in a different perspective and hit out my chemistry. I went to a community college and do my chemistry for the Lolo because we got to save money. And at that time, I'm on low on funds as it is, and everything's coming out of pocket. So I definitely understood that. Just stay true to yourself, and no matter what chapter in your life you are, you will get where you need to be. You know, success. And I learned that too. Success is not straight and narrow, or linear. In my mind, it was because it's like, boom, I graduated high school, got a soccer scholarship. Boom, jumped into college, doing my thing, got my associate's assignment, and boom, get another soccer scholarship to finish my bachelor's and move to Georgia. So everything was just flowing. But then the moment when I graduated my bachelor's and I didn't get a job, I was like, man, what now? I was like, damn, will I get into the Cairo school then? Because I don't know. At that time, I was like, I needed a break, but as well as I was like, I need to finish my prerequisites, and I felt very nervous about chemistry. Now I'm good with it. Oh, we became an autodidact, and we figured this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So yeah, being a soccer player, you learn to work as a team, you learn to work with others really well. And I was also a college soccer player, and I think that that
Hey.
helps me work with people in professional practice really well. Can you speak to how being an athlete, a college athlete, prepared you for chiropractic school?
Sure. It prepared me in the sense of because you gotta get up like 5 a.m. practice, and mentally you don't want to do it, but eventually you kind of at first in the beginning of your career you're forced to because like if you're late for practice, we're running laps. They know long talking about it, and nobody wants that person to be late because everybody's gonna be mad at you for running extra laps on a routine that we gotta do. You know.
Hmm.
So I became more of a disciplined person, I must say. I learned how to communicate with as a unit and learn how to speak non-violently in the sense of like, oh, it's your fault we did this. It's more like, okay, we can progress this way and learn how to communicate in that manner because
Hmm.
picking on people ain't gonna do nothing. And I
Hmm.
always learned that like freshman class always comes with, oh, you should have done this, and then eventually, I bet they look back on their life because I did, and like, okay, cool, I'm happy that this team helped me sustain me. You bond with a lot of people because in that hard time, you have to struggle school as well as being an athlete, as well as going to all these meetings they throw you in and you feel like your life is in a bum rush for sure. So like going into the Cairo program now is like okay, we did the whole undergrad being an athlete life. Okay, it's challenging, but it's like, hey, this is just another grind to where you're gonna be. Look at how you were. You survived it for 4 years. Why you can't survive this? That would
Hmm.
build like reassurance to myself when I'm in doubt.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's a great message. I think that anybody in high school right now, if you're an athlete, you know what the grind is like. You got to stay after school and practice. You also have to do the same amount of homework and the same amount of tests that everybody else has to do, but you have this extra supplemental curriculum, for lack of better words, that you've created for yourself by choosing to be an athlete as well, and that does not go away in chiropractic school. You have a supplemental curriculum that you're constantly working at. So, Shae, can you give them some insight into some of the things that you've had to do outside of those 12 classes to continue to develop yourself into the chiropractor that you're looking to become?
So I I'm not sure if I want to specialize or whatever. I'm more like I want to go to different type of Cairo offices and shadow. What can I learn? It's not necessarily going there with like a lot of questions. It's just more like what is the atmosphere when once you step into that office? How do you want your room to present? How do you want a person to feel as they step through the door? What type of music we playing? Is it family oriented, or is it specialized in athletes or family or so? So like I started to go like just go to random Cairo offices. I call them for sure. Definitely call the people before you pop up the office. Don't just pop up, guys. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Um, it's nothing wrong, but it's like it's just a level of professionalism just to go about it. So I started out doing that. I went to a franchise called Joint Chiropractic just to see how their system is like, see what experience is like. I signed up for the membership for them because it was like $30. I was like, you ain't gonna get me with $30. I want a college budget. $30 sounds like great. We're doing great right now.
Yes.
That made me
Yes.
sound like a big baller budget right there in my head. I was like, you big baller, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I connected with Dr. John, and he was in the Midtown office. He definitely like he's a life alum as well. So he's like he just tell me straight up the authentic truth, the transition of from school to like reality, and seeing how the franchise operate. So I definitely respected that. And then I connected with another doctor like Dr. Kilpatrick. He's in Midtown, but he has his own franchise. I mean his own office. So it was just different to see different offices. So I just traveled around and just connect with different people generally. Like, be generous. So people can read through the BS of you just come in there like, what can I get from you, doc? How can you serve them? Or how they can serve you? That's why, like, learning the tool of listen with belief come into high demand because you can listen, but can you really absorb what they're saying? Are you conscious enough to really understand what's going on? Can you pick
Hmm.
up on the cues on like how they're portraying their office or how they're advertising their brand? So I
Hmm.
like marketing and stuff. So it's like I look at all that. So especially if a person they'll have a marketing background or so, like, look, ask if you're not aware of that. I definitely ask questions. Like, hey, how do you brand yourself? Like, how could I start branding myself? Should I start when I'm in school or when I just come out? And a lot of them advise you start building your character now. Build your platform now. So that definitely helped out for sure. And asking about peak, which offices are qualified for peak, or peak is like internship where you spend your last pretty much couple weeks in a doctor's office, pretty much practicing.
Hmm.
So you want to start looking around if you want to stay in the same area your school is, or a doctor that say, hey, you can use qualify for peak and you can come to my office and definitely work or see how it is like.
Hmm. Hmm. Cool. Cool. Yeah, no, definitely. Um, do you have any intentions for the future after school yet? Has that crystallized? Are you still working on getting clearer on like where you want to be at? Do you want to go back to Jamaica? Do you want to stay in the States? Do you know where you're going to be at? Or I know you said you're not sure on how you want to practice yet, but do you think that you'll work in someone else's office first, or do you think you're going to start your own thing right out of school?
So if the opportunity awakes, I will definitely open to starting my own. But there's nothing wrong signing up as an associate. Nothing wrong with that. I don't knock that because you learn the system.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, that transition, you just graduated from school. That also I learned school knowledge is different than from like applicable knowledge. It's two different things. I
Hmm.
learned that definitely by now. So seventh quarter, like it helped me. The type of a learner I am, going to doc's office and seeing live cases than reading about a case in a book, different.
Hmm.
Present itself different. The
Hmm.
person have feelings. The person will express what their feelings are, and you realize certain things doesn't connect, but they'll be like, "Oh, I have tingling in my arms," and then they'll say something that's right normal out of abnormal, and I'll be like, "It doesn't connect." But I was like, "Okay, so you just have upper back pain that's just separate from what's going on down here." Okay, cool. Let's. So in my mind, I'm just like, "Okay, I see what they're saying." For sure.
Hmm.
But right now, Atlanta is an awesome place, but I like Arizona as well and Florida. So, in the back of my mind, I want to tell myself like the goal is to be licensed in all three states, so Arizona, Atlanta, and Florida. And wherever I go from there, wherever God want me to go, that's where I go. Cause I like flexibility. Cause I was always looking into like almost like travel chiropractic.
I'm
For
gonna be
my.
real though. I'm gonna be real with you and just
Mhm.
give you a little recommendation based
Mhm.
on me being like a butterfly. Like you talking about, you like to live in different places, you
Mhm.
like to explore the world and experience it through chiropractic. You can do that, but to eventually get to a place where you have a solid structure, and if you think of yourself like a tree where your roots have gone deeper and spread out and
Mhm.
touch the community on a deep level like you want to do, you have to be somewhere for like grounded somewhere for like 3 to 5 years minimum,
Okay.
just to have that experience, and then you can move to another place after that. But
Okay.
I think so often people like us that like to travel, um, right out of school, I was spending time in Colombia, so spending time in
Oh, that's
Mexico, Honduras, and just being a chiropractor out there, walking around with my table, going in different community clinics, and just saying, "Hey, chiropractic is available for the next couple months." That was cool, but to be here in Oakland for 7 or 8 years now, and to get to the point where I don't have to advertise or market, it's grown organically, and now people just know who I am, where I'm at, to the point where they can send family members and friends, and it be a thing. You have to stay somewhere for an extended period of time. And I would say don't start two places at once. Start at one place, even
mhm.
if it's slow and you're like, oh, maybe I could do better over here. Give
Mhm.
it some time. It's going to be difficult, like that first quarter at first, especially if you're starting on your own, which is what I did. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I'm just saying that's what I did.
Mhm.
And yes, I just had to interject there because
Oh
I hear you like
yeah,
processing it
definitely.
in your mind. Like,
Oh yeah, I need all of them, man. You know it all, man. You transitioned already.
I'm just saying
So
I
you know
share a
what's
lot
up.
of previous experiences that you share,
Mhm.
and I think of us as being appreciative of the different cultures that we come in contact with. Everything has got its pros and its cons. Everything's got its like things that attract us to it, but we need to just humble ourselves and recognize that like for us, the best thing is like groundedness and just like I'm gonna be right here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna see how this goes. I'm not gonna have expectations, but I'm gonna give it my all right here, right now, and just stay with that.
For sure, appreciate that, Doc. Appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have any final messages to speak to that high school or college student who's like on the fence trying to figure out like, man, I don't really know what to do, can you help like bring them in to this path and like really just kind of keep it real with them about like why you think they should choose, or what their motivating factors should be, but like how this is a different path than PT or medical professions?
Um, if you were to choose Cairo, or why to choose Cairo is because everybody serves in different ways. In the reality of things. But how do you want to serve is the question that you want to start out with. And then if you don't know which one you want to get into, go to a PT office and see what it's like. Me, my experience with PT office was boring. I was like, this is all y'all do? Great. I'm out. No. And then the car accident as well, like being the patient was a heck of an experience in itself. And I was like, no, definitely not. And if you want to be the root, like find the root cause of a problem, definitely Cairo is your way. And if you're on like holistic and don't want to be a legal drug dealer, no offense, nobody, but if the shoes fit, wear it. um,
Mm.
Cairo is definitely the way. Like you definitely can serve in various ways, from pediatrics to athletes, to all families, well rounded. Half of our problems are family faces. Adjustment can definitely get you aligned and flowing. That's what happened with me as well. Like I had a lot of pain and a lot of aches, especially having severe migraine. Cairo really switched around my life after I got the first boner in it, Atlas adjusted. I was a brand new person after that. I started flowing. So if you want to really help people from not going just on painkillers or so, definitely Cairo is the way. Like there is
Mm-hmm.
an alternative. Just educate yourself and go to different offices. You don't have to be a patient necessarily. They'll say, "Hey, Dr. John, hey, I see your office and you live close in the radius. Can I come by? I'm just considering to be a Cairo student. Like, um, can you just
Mm-hmm.
give me some guidance?" And people are willing to help. Just know
Mm-hmm.
that people are out here willing to help, and you have to have the willpower for yourself and believe in yourself. You can do it. If you survive undergrad, trust me, you can do it. Or
Mm-hmm.
any adversity, just have bet money on you. Cause if you ain't gonna bet on you, who gonna bet on you?
Mm. Facts. That's real. Well, I want to thank you so much. Appreciate you. We're going to post some information about how to connect with you. If there's a student out there that hears your message and wants to find you, that will be in the show notes below. And have a beautiful day. If you need any support in any way, let me know. And just let's keep it pushing. The goal of this podcast is to just keep uplifting the future generations of chiropractors. You're included in that. I'm still that young generation, that got out 5, 10 years ago, but as you know, a year and a half can make a hell of a difference in your perspective, your experience, your
Mm-hmm.
understanding of how to maneuver. So I appreciate you really just kind of lifting up, people that are about to go into school, because that's really what this is about.
Thank you for having me, Doug. Thank you very much for having me on the show. And like I say, guys, you can do it. Believe in you. That's all that matters.
Hmm.